Path Media. I was a minimum wage movie theater usher that made good and became a top earner in my network marketing company. Now, after 16 plus years in the profession, I'm finally teaching myself how to leverage the internet with online marketing and social media marketing to continue to grow and expand my business. My name is Ronnie Cruz, and this is Path of the Network Marketer.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to have a conversation about being an introvert. That's right, being an introvert. I heard or I listened to a podcast recently. It's one of the regular podcasts that I listen to. And the host was talking about their introversion and the different kind of behavioral traits that they attributed to why they were an introvert and why they were feeling exhausted after being around people. Now, I identify as an introvert. Like, I feel like I have definitely introverted tendencies, right? I mentioned yesterday that I do live in the middle of nowhere. I live in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere. And I like that. That's just me. In the show that I was listening to, however, the host attributed things like behavioral patterns like people pleasing and not being able to draw boundaries and not knowing when to say no, always saying yes, as to those are the characteristics of their introversion, and that's why again they're always exhausted after being around people. I don't necessarily agree with that, right? I don't necessarily agree with that. At least I don't agree that one, though the behaviors actually lead or contribute to the introversion. I don't think they're necessarily connected because I don't have those tendencies. I don't feel like I have those tendencies. I definitely don't care what other people think, right? I'm definitely not a people pleaser. I definitely have strong boundaries. I still feel like I am an introvert, and I still am aware that when I'm around a lot of people or around people often, that it does take a lot of energy for me, and that's just how I roll. Not that I dislike being around people, not that I again don't draw boundaries, not that I'm a people pleaser. It's just how it is. I actually love being around people, but it takes a lot out, right? I wanted to bring up this conversation because as you take your message and your story online, we really, as coaches, as we build our influence, we have to be careful about the definitions and the labels that we talk about, because they may not necessarily be, number one, the same labels that apply to everybody else, right? They may be just our experiences projected onto the conversation, and so they end up being very contextualized. But when we make blanket statements like introversion is because you're a people pleaser and that you don't have boundaries and that you always say yes. We run the risk of people thinking that they have all these things wrong with them when they don't actually have anything wrong with them, right? So as coaches, as people of influence, especially as you build your influence, be really mindful of what you're projecting, and the context of which you're projecting, because again, you might be talking about something that's uniquely your experience. So they might be people that agree with it, but it's not unilateral. What introversion is in this example. Right. Again, I love to be alone. This is my jam, right? But I also realize, being around people tires me, not because I'm a yes man, not because I'm a people pleaser, not because I don't have boundaries. It just tires me. Right? Again, be careful of those things. And I guess the bigger, broader discussion is definitions and labels, right? What definitions and labels do we carry about our own experiences, and how much of that are we projecting into our audiences and into the messages that we're sharing with people? Right? I'm one to really always kind of question my own labels and my definitions, because I realize that labels and definitions are boxes, right? Boxes that kind of limit thought and restrain perspective. So be really mindful of those labels and definitions, and then be really mindful of how you're projecting your own labels and definitions to your audiences, right? So this is really, really important, right? I know, I started the episode off talking about introversion and my own, identifying as an introvert. However, this is the bigger conversation is the labels and definitions that you have about your experience, and realizing that we can sometimes project those things, especially when we have aha moments. And I get that, right? We want to share all our insights and aha moments with people, but just take a quick step before you do that, because it may not necessarily apply to everybody that you're talking to. All right, so that's it. That's my message for today. I hope it makes sense. And for those of you who are introverts, I mean, whether or not you're a people pleaser or not, you can be a people pleaser and not an introvert. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand. So, understand your definitions are your definitions. As long as they're not limiting you and keeping you from doing what you need to do in a healthy and positive way, then they can be your definitions all the live long day if you want them to, right? So that's it. That's my message for today. Hope that makes sense. More from me tomorrow. So until then, be well. Excuse me, I almost coughed. Be well, be safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.